In the MVP hunt, Jayden, however, doesn't love the comparisons to Lamar. Take a listen.
Yeah, I think it's go out there and just appreciate each individual for who they are. So I don't like when people really like try to compare me to Lamar. For me, it's kind of just go out there and it's trying to be unique and trying to be not really different from everybody and appreciate what they could do because you always learn stuff from other quarterbacks within the league. I'm not closed-minded. I always want to be able to grow, but at the end of the day, I want to be known as Jaden Daniels and not the next such and such.
This season, Jayden leads the league in team points and completion percentage. So what are the chances he outplays the reigning MVP, bro?
Well, first of all, this is the real test for Washington. I think this is when we're going to find out what they really are. Because they haven't beaten Cincinnati, but they're a one-win team. They haven't beaten great teams. They played Tampa and got beat by them by, 17 points, something like that.
Let me stop you right there, Brew, real fast. I'm going to obviously let this clip play. But the Ravens have lost to have lost to the Chiefs and have lost to the Raiders. And now they beat the Bengals, who Brew is saying not really that good of a team. And they beat the Cowboys, who Brew also doesn't think is a very good team. And they beat the Bills, who Brew has also said he doesn't think they're a very good team. He has the Jets winning that division. So, interesting.
So if they go into Baltimore and play really well or win, then it's like, okay, they're the best team in the NFC East, and we'll see how far they can go. But he may have more yards than Lamar because the Ravens give up a lot of yards in passing. And Lamar, but Jayden still hasn't only thrown for more than 250 yards once, as great as he's been. But I think the thing is Jayden's facing, in my view, a much better defense.
Ooh.
Washington's defense
is facing a better defense?
Yeah, as bad as because at least the Ravens get to the quarterback, the Ravens stop the run. It's hard to run on them. I know they give up a lot of yards with their defensive backfield.
Yeah.
But Washington is the second worst team against the pass. Even worse than the Ravens. The passer ratings of the opposing teams is 114.7. That's second worst in the league. Ravens is 101. All right, so Washington's given up 11 passing touchdowns, Ravens only 9. So both give up, the Commanders don't give up a lot of yards, but teams are efficient against them in the passing game. So it's a possibility that he plays better statistically, but I think overall we'll look back and say Lamar had the better game.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. The way Lamar is playing right now, he mentioned it this week. He said, we're in a groove, and it looks like that. It looks like they're having a ton of fun because they understand who they are as an offense. He has Derrick Henry in the backfield. He's going crazy, and so he's made life easier for Lamar Jackson. So I'm not going to discount the idea that Jaden Daniels can come in this game and outperform him. Do I believe he will? I don't. Not with the way the Ravens offensively are playing, but I disagree with you defensively. I think with what Jaden Daniels has been doing to just opposing defenses and the growth that he's making and now starting to hit guys down the field that's not named Terry McLaurin, anything can happen in this game with him at quarterback.
Both quarterbacks should play awesome because they're playing two of the worst pass defenses in the league.
Yeah.
Well, I just think so. I think that there's a decent chance that Jayden outplays Lamar. To me, what is most notable about this game is if the Ravens defense gets cooked again, then you start putting them in the bucket.
Clock. Battle of two dual threat QBs who are both in the MVP hunt. Jayden, however,
skipped like that.
Passing, ability that he plays better.
To me, what is most notable about this game is if the Ravens defense gets cooked again, then you start putting them in the bucket.
Dual threat QBs who are both in the MVP hunt. Jayden, however.
Right. I guess we'll just never know what Nick was going to say about the Ravens getting cooked defense. Yeah. Let's talk about this. Listen. I think this is a conversation that becomes difficult to have an honest back and forth about, because it's so hard for me to imagine that, let's say Jaden Daniels plays absolutely great, okay? And let's say that the Commanders still lose. They'll still kind of use it against Jaden Daniels. They'll say, see, that's what Lamar Jackson can do. Lamar Jackson finds a way to win, whatever it may be. And that's always the asymmetrical comparison of when you're comparing quarterbacks head to head, because they play for different teams. They're not facing each other on the field, right? It's not one-on-one basketball. They have different defenses, different weapons, different everything. Everything is set up right now for the Ravens to win this game. They should win this game. Lamar Jackson should dominate the Commanders' defense. They just should. He's got the weapons. He's got the experience. He's got the maturity, right? I mean, you got Derrick Henry. You got Flowers. I mean, you got Likely. You got Andrews, right? You got Harbaugh. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. The Ravens just last year were in the AFC Championship game. So this game should be a game that is completely stacked in favor of the Ravens. So it's already by definition stacked against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. That's why, to me, it's largely irrelevant what even happens in this game, quite frankly. And I've said this now in a couple of videos, that the Commanders can lose this game and lose pretty badly, and it won't teach me anything new about the Commanders. I won't say, no, they're not as good as I thought they were. See, Jaden Daniels, he's a rookie. What are you going to do? That's not what it is. But if they win, then it just tells me even more positives about the Washington Commanders, because they were able to overcome the stacked deck, right? That's the way I'm looking at this game. Because this isn't two equal contenders going head to head on equal footing. That's not the case. I mean, again, the Ravens are just littered with just experienced, seasoned veterans who are either in their prime or, right about to leave their prime, like Derrick Henry, for instance. Harbaugh, who has coached in a Super Bowl, right? Like he's and won a Super Bowl, obviously. So it's just there's just different levels to it all. Whereas the Washington Commanders do have a rookie quarterback. They are on the road again. They have had to overcome a lot. But it's also really funny? This makes me laugh. Because they're saying all these defenses, they've been playing bad defenses and all of that. But yet, when Josh Allen put up numbers against the Cardinals, people didn't really say anything about that. And when Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys were all high on that big-time Week 1 win against the Browns, they said, that's a top defense in the NFL. And look what Dak Prescott and the Cowboys did. But now when Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders do it, these are all bad teams. I missed the easiest thing right there. When Lamar Jackson played great against the Bengals, nobody was saying, well, the Bengals have a terrible defense. Terrible defense. They just praised everything Lamar. They said, look what Lamar Jackson did. Look at his numbers. Look what he's thrown for. Look at the touchdowns that he's thrown for. The yards that he's rushed. The passing yards. The highlight reel plays. But when Jaden Daniels does it, that was great, but it was against the Bengals. Like, what? What? How does that make sense? So this is what's interesting. This is where football's kind of crazy. Because, and I called the Cincinnati Bengals game. I said that was going to happen. I believe that Jaden Daniels, I said he was going to have his coming out party, Monday Night Football, let's go. And I also called the Arizona Cardinals game. But the truth is this, that both those games could have not happened. More the Bengals game. The Bengals game, they definitely were really impressive. I forget now exactly how it unfolded, but I remember it was kind of a back and forth score initially, and then it was amazing to see the Commanders just keep scoring. But there was a couple big plays down the stretch that easily could have just not happened. It could have been a drop pass. The ball could have just sailed ever so slightly out of bounds. Right now, you don't convert. I think it was like 3rd and long, and then they ended up scoring a touchdown on that pass. Those things can happen, right? Like, it's just, and it wouldn't be bad on Jaden Daniels or the Commanders. It's just how football's played. And that changes now everything, right? It just could have went off his fingertips and bounced. It's just what happens, because it had to have been a perfect pass. If he makes that pass again, or a couple of the passes that he made, it's probably not going to look like that 9 out of 10 times. That's what makes those passes so unbelievable, because we get to see it happen, and it's such a low percentage play, no matter who's doing it. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter. So we got to see the game where it actually all happened, which is what makes it so exciting and so awesome. But so a game like that could have potentially not unfolded as it did. And the Bengals could have technically won that game. And Jaden Daniels still would have played really good, but not as great and as unbelievable as we were all singing his praises. So the reason why I'm saying this is that we saw what the Bengals just did versus the Ravens. And we know what the Commanders did versus the Bengals. And so that's what's interesting now. Because it's like, who's to say that this game isn't going to be similar to what happened with the Bengals versus the Commanders and the Bengals versus the Ravens? And so now you're going to have the Commanders versus the Ravens. And could this be a big, high-powered 38-35 game? You know, an overtime game. And this is where what's going to be so interesting to me, is because I think without a shadow of a doubt, make no mistake about it, let's not get it twisted, I 100% believe that the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels can win this game and have it be one of those crazy games, like I just said. But I could also see the Ravens blowing out the Commanders, because their defense will give up a lot to Lamar and Derrick Henry. Those are beasts. And then the things that went right for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders just don't, right? They don't convert that 3rd and 8. Oh my God, it just goes off the fingertips of Ertz. And I can't believe Ertz just dropped that. He always catches that ball, but he just dropped it. And now it completely changes that drive. They went 3 and out instead of marching down the field, dominating the clock, and scoring a touchdown. Like, that's where football can be so crazy. That's the difference between the Commanders winning this game 38-35 and the Ravens winning the game 35-7. It's the difference. Like, it's football is so crazy like that. So again, this is what's going to be really interesting to me, is how does this game unfold in that way, right? And so the way I see it is this: it's going to be a high-powered back and forth with a lot of points, similar to what I just said with versus the Bengals and the the Bengals and the Ravens and the Bengals and the Commanders, or the Ravens win this game convincingly. But again, if they do, it's not an indictment on Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. That's the difference to me. So I'm so excited for this game. I usually watch 3 or 4 games. I think 3 games. That's the most I can do, where I can feel like I'm actually really understanding what I'm watching. I watch 3 games at a time for the first batch of games on Sunday, and I use YouTube TV, and a lot of times I'll just pause it for like 10-15 minutes, and then that way I can watch one game at a time, fast forward, right? It just kind of helps it when they're all a little bit on a slight delay. This game I'm so into, I'm just watching it, nothing else. It's gonna be a really long Sunday now, because it's gonna push back everything. I'm gonna definitely be up super late, having to watch all these games and take all these notes. But this game, I just want to be 100% locked in and just be like, this is what I'm watching. I don't want to watch it live. I don't want to watch it on a delay. I don't want to watch it like hours later and have to go back, because I want to be able to see it all when it's all happening and get a sense. I wonder who's commentating for this game. Would be interesting, because I really want to be locked into that, because this game is going to be really interesting. And I don't know, but if I would love to have known what was the spread for the Bengals versus the Commanders, and then what was the spread for the Bengals versus the Ravens, right? Like, I'm sure probably the Bengals were favored versus the Commanders. And then I assume the Ravens were favored versus the Bengals, but by how much? Because 6.5 is a chunk. In football, that's a chunk. That's them saying the Commanders. This is Vegas's way of saying we don't think the Commanders have a true chance at winning this game. That's their version of it. 7.5 and plus is like, we think you're just a terrible team, right? So 6.5 is like, yeah. I mean, technically it's possible, but no. 3 points or less is like, yeah, these teams are closer, but this team is still clearly the better team. They should win this game. This is Vegas' way of saying the Commanders will lose this game. Not should, they will lose this game. So that's what I'm interested about. Because apparently it was like 7, and now it's gone down a little bit. But and I don't really care about spreads personally. I only use it as a reference to be like, what do the super genius number crunchers think who's going to win? Because literally millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars are on the line. So they're going all in on trying to figure that out. So it's interesting to me in that regard. But yeah, this game. Oh, I'm so excited for this game. I've been waiting for this game for a while now because I thought this game was actually last week. And then I was like, oh, it's versus the Browns. What the heck? So now that it's this week, I wish this game was flexed to like a Sunday night game prime time. Or I would have loved to had, right, like Collinsworth doing this game or like Troy Aikman. I wonder is it going to be like Brady? Is it going to be Romo? Like I hope we get someone legit who can really, because I love good commentating. I'm a sucker for that. I think they add really great context to the game, and they explain things that you're not able to see on the broadcast, right? That we don't get to see until you see like the all 22. And I prefer to have some of these great people explain it in real time while I'm watching it, because I think it adds very important nuance to what you're seeing that, like I said, we're going to miss because we have a limited section of what we can see. So I really hope they treat this game with like, with the importance that it is. So I can't wait. This game's going to be awesome. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Washington Commanders versus the Ravens? And any chance that Jaden Daniels outplays none other than Lamar Jackson? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.